You can support this show at patreon.com/ASA podcasting.
Biscuits McShits.
The wasteland is a host of apocalyptic mess as the sole survivor wanders out, about to see the rest. Nuclear explosions sending out the gamma rays from deep within the core, frozen atomic waste. From deep within the core, frozen atomic waste.
Hello and welcome to the 506th edition of the Fallout Feed. I am Andrew, joined by a few of my favorite Fallout folks. Tonight, I've got Ray. What's up, Ray?
Hello, hello.
And Jess. What's going on, Jess?
Kapow. Hey, Andrew. Greets, everybody.
Kapow. Tonight on the show, go over some gameplay right off the top. Got some feedback from our group here, closing down our adventures there in Skyline Valley. We will hear from Solior, Lee, Vanessa, and Sean. Also, got some good iguana bits, juicy bits on the way. So let's go ahead and roll right into our show. See what everyone's been getting into and say, hey, Jess, you get a chance to play video games this week?
I did, but it was another weird one. I feel like it's been nothing but weird ones lately, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've been hit that groove with the Roundtable for such a long time that now you even subconsciously, your brain is sort of forcing you out to
It's
other
a couple
stuff,
things.
you know?
Yeah. You're waiting for the next big thing because you finished the Roundtable. You're waiting for the next big thing because you think Oblivion might be coming out in a few days. He laughs. You're waiting.
Any second now.
And it's got to be tomorrow. You're waiting for the next big thing because you finished the last game you played almost, but you didn't quite finish it. That's me with Avowed. I still didn't finish. But what I did play this week, a lot of little things, or a little bit of a lot of things, I think is the way to put it. So there is a new game that a lot of people are talking about called Blueprint. Did I talk about this last week at all?
No.
Like a fingerprint prince, or like prince, like queen, king, prince?
Well, it's kind of a play on words because blueprints spelled like the little prince, like a prince that is blue.
Okay.
But it takes place in a house, and you're laying down room plans and floor plans. So it's literally blueprints as well.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Oh,
so they're
boom.
clever. Anyway, it is a puzzle game, but it's not a normal puzzle game. When you say puzzle game, you think games like The Witness. You think games where you go to different rooms and you solve puzzles. You know, maybe Seventh Guest. That's if you want to go way back, that sort of thing. Blueprints is a little bit like that, but it's also a little bit more like a walking simulator, or say Myst and Riven, that kind of thing. So it's a roguelike puzzle game.
I like those.
Yeah, that's what's interesting. It's a kind of a puzzle game for people who don't like puzzle games, but it's also because honestly, you can play, like I've had people who have said, I've played for 2 hours and I feel like I've only done like 4 actual puzzles, you know, because some of the rooms have puzzles, some don't. So the way it works, it's almost like, you know how there are games where you can like deal down cards as rooms and like each card you go to and then you kind of progress through, then you go to the next one? Or in a way, Hero Quest is like that, where you're on the room and then whatever you deal is what happens in the room. You know that?
No, I haven't played that one.
Okay. Well, we were talking about Hero Quest with Andrew a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yes.
So in this one, what it is, you essentially, you have to find the 46th room in a 45-room mansion. So each day when you start, essentially you're a character who's inherited this mansion. Each day when you start in the foyer and you go to one of 3 doors. And when you get to the door, it draws a couple cards and you choose which room is going to be behind it. And the rooms only have a certain number of doors in and out. So you kind of lay down the floor plan, you go into that room, there are more doors, you lay down the floor plan, and you have to try to hope that you don't just run into dead ends as you go. And also you make discoveries and find puzzles along the way. But a lot of the puzzles are subtle. So there are obvious ones, like the classic, one of these is true, one of these is false kind of puzzles. There are math puzzles, there are stuff like that. But most of the time, you're just putting down a room, walking through it, and then after a while, suddenly you realize some things go together. You realize that pushing a button in this room lets something happen in another room if you happen to get both of them on the board. And so, but when you run into a dead end, each time you only have 50 steps. And after you run out of 50 steps, which you use a step per room, you have to start over the next day. It's part of, basically the idea is if you want to keep this mansion you inherited from your maybe slightly eccentric uncle, you have to find the 46th room. But there is no actual end date. You can keep playing day after day after day. Anyway, I'm on like day 9 or 10 now. And it's just really, it's a fun game. So I put about probably 4 hours into it this week. And I mean, I don't know if I'll stick with it, but it's one of those ones that you can do just one run, take like 20, 30 minutes, do a run and be like, okay, I'm good, and do something else. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't know if I made a compelling argument for why it's interesting. It's some, but I said that it's a puzzle game for people who don't like puzzle games because it kind of is. You know what I mean? Like you can just kind of keep going through and eventually you'll figure things out. Like it'll just come to you like, oh, wait, I pushed this button, I did this thing, and that makes sense. Oh, wait, I got this works. But it's also, I don't know, it's clever. It's clever, and it makes you feel smart when you do figure things out. Like, not a spoiler, but when I realized after like a third run, I'm like, wait, what if I turned around and walked outside the door instead of going into the mansion? And you can do that. And there's stuff outside to find. And I'm like, oh. And then at another point, I found a way to leave a room that went to the outside, and I got to a new outside area. I'm like, oh. Like, so it's just got lots of little things like that.
That's fun.
Yeah. So I'm playing that. I also, they made a game that was specifically for me, perhaps.
Oh.
It's called Lush Foil, the photography simulator. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but it's literally a video game photography simulator.
Lush Foil Photography Sim.
Yep. You load in, you walk around worlds made in Unreal 5, you get a camera and you take pictures, and that's the entire game. There are objectives along the way. They're like, take a picture of this and take a picture of that. But it's mostly just really, really pretty. And it's set up to be more of a real photography simulator. So you use a camera with actual real functions. You've got your aperture, your f-stop, your ISO, all the classic stuff. So you might say, how is that a game? And I'll say, it's not really. It's a simulator. but it's really pretty. So I've been having fun with that too.
Cool. No, I pulled up a few shots. It looks awesome.
Yeah. Oh, you're taking a look at it now.
Yeah, it looks like you're in Yosemite or
you're going to real life locations. Yeah, they've got Italy and they have Wyoming. Yep, absolutely. There are some really cool looking locations. The problem is it is made for PC first, even though it's on PlayStation, Xbox. So messaging the author, hey, how do we get these pictures we're taking? And right now, you actually just have to screenshot them, like with the Xbox button. Even though you're telling it how to take pictures, you can tell it to take pictures in like extra high resolution, like 4K resolution, even though you're not playing in 4K. If you're on PC, you can access them. But if you're on Xbox, you can't. You don't have access to the folder. He probably should have thought of this while programming it. Yeah. So anyway, but hopefully we get some improvements, and I'm having fun with it. For our actual Fallout fans out there, I only played a little this week. We did another flash mob over at the Gato on Saturday. We didn't celebrate St. Biv's Day earlier this year. Do you guys remember St. Biv's Day?
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Yeah, it's a holiday we came up with a couple years ago for the day that St. Biv, he tried to chase all the snakes out of Ireland, but he drank too much Nuka-Shine, he got lost. That's why St. Patrick did it. But Biv tried to help, chasing the snakes out of Appalachia himself. But yeah, so we did a parade in honor of St. Biv a couple years in a row. This year we decided to do a flash mob. So it was great. A lot of friends showed up. Our friend Rando and Silior in our chat right now showed up and joined. A few of our other friends joined. We had a pretty full server for a bit. It was great. Everybody wearing their leprechaun mask or their leprechaun mask, depending. It was there's the raider leprechaun. He's got like the evil eyes and the knife. But yeah, so we've got those. That was a lot of fun. But besides that, just did a Mothman and a couple of events. Nothing special to report in 76. And I think that's about it for gaming.
You were talking about Hero Quest a second ago. Sorry, I got distracted for a minute because I was looking up blueprints and it was saying it's like some I don't know, commenter, reviewer, whatever, was saying that it's the best puzzle and roguelike they've ever played. And I was like, I think Jess has told me like 12 times what the fuck that means. But I'm like, okay, wait a second.
The idea of a roguelike.
I went down the tunnel. I was like, oh, okay, it's like the turn-based, randomly generated, that blah, blah. Okay, it is Hero Quest. Okay, that's what it is. All right.
Every run you start a new run.
Is different.
That's a roguelike. And the difference between a roguelike and a roguelite is that roguelikes, you have some progression. So eventually, sometimes you get like permanent buffs or your character permanently levels that you can then take with it. So when you do a new run, you have some advantage, whereas a true roguelike, you have absolutely no advantage. You start from zero every time.
Yeah.
And what about an actual rogue?
Well, that came out in what? Like, was it like early 80s? The actual game came out. They're all named after. That was funny. It was,
Rogue
it was an
was
ASCII art
a,
style.
Was it a tabletop game or something? What was it?
No, it's an old PC game. It's an old
Rogue,
PC
okay.
game, and it was done with kind of like the old style ASCII art with X's and O's, and you're moving a character through these procedurally generated little dungeon rooms.
Oh, that's fun. God, I love shit like that.
It's classic for sure. I also want to mention, since they're talking about it in chat,
So
just
it's
to shout out,
referring to
if
a
people-
game. That's why it's okay. That makes so much more sense now. All
like
right.
the game Rogue.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
it's like when they call something a Metroidvania because it's like Metroid and Castlevania.
I just saw that term for the. Has that been widely used for a long time? Because I just saw that.
Good 6-7 years at least.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
maybe
saw it
even
like a
decade.
few months ago, and then I saw it again yesterday, and I was like, okay, this is a thing now. What does that mean?
Yep.
But I
So-
knew what they meant just out of like context. But yeah,
It's such a good description, and that's exactly what it means. Like Ori is a Metroidvania. Any of those games where you kind of have to get unlocks and you backtrack and you fill out the map by discovering ways to get to places you couldn't get to earlier. That's a Metroidvania. The other one is Souls-like. So like a roguelike is Souls-like, and that's like any game like Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls, sorry. Dark Souls.
Elder Souls.
We need a Scrolls-like. We need more Scrolls-likes, because let's be honest, there aren't many games like Skyrim or Oblivion or what have you.
All games should
Like-
be like Skyrim.
Games want to be, but Fallout, Skyrim, like our open world Bethesda games are kind of their own thing. There have been a few Scrolls likes over the years, I suppose. Dragon's Dogma tries to be kind of, Witcher tries to be kind of, but they're not, right? They're not.
No.
Do
So,
the Elder
anyway.
Scrolls play a much larger role in parts 1 through 4 than they do in Skyrim? I just feel like you see the scrolls like once or twice in the game. But to be called the Elder Scrolls, you would think that like everything would revolve around these fucking scrolls,
They play the largest part in 4 and 5. Skyrim and Oblivion are the two they play the
Really?
biggest part in, really.
Okay, so the arena, they just don't even mention them.
I mean, they probably mention them plenty. And to be fair, I've never played Arena. I've only played Daggerfall Forward. But the idea is the Elder Scrolls written by the gods, and they talk about the genesis of the world. But like in Morrowind, you never deal with an actual Elder Scroll. In
You don't get to
Oblivion,
touch
you
them.
have to. Spoiler alert for a
Don't listen, anyone. Okay.
19-year-old game who might be coming out again soon. You have to steal an Elder Scroll in one quest line.
Okay,
And
what's the spoilers on that
Same as Skyrim.
for a re-release? Do you have to be like, okay, there's going to be a bunch of people who've never played this game before. Do you have to do double spoilers on a game that's 20
I think
fucking
be
years old?
respectful and warn people that you're about to say something. And then don't say anything major, like a real spoiler, like a huge one, maybe don't say. But saying that you might have to steal an Elder Scroll, that says nothing. Nobody knows what or where, any context, right? That's my
You
hope.
ruined the game for me.
I'm sorry. It was blame it on the gray fox. I didn't do it. Oh, now I said too much.
Oh,
Anyhow.
God.
But what I was going to say was the guys mentioning in chat, PSA, for people who have been ghoulified, if you don't know, if you haven't seen yet, some of the Fashnacht masks and a few others do crazy stretching to hilarious proportions if you're a ghoul and you put them on.
What?
So if you look in the Discord chat right now, you will see Rando, the alien Fashnacht mask, gets all stretched out, all funky.
Oh, that's fun.
It also
no,
happens
that's totally
with the,
xenomorph. He's got the xenomorph mask on. That's why.
right? It also happens with the Fashnacht robot mask. It happens with the Fashnacht. There's one of the Fashnacht mask it happens with, you guys. Can you remind me in chat, please? But the unicorn, thank you. The unicorn, the methicorn, gets like super flat nose. He looks like a duck-billed platypus.
Wait,
unicorn.
no, wait.
It's
I
hilarious.
have the unicorn. So what's it
If
look
you're a
like when it's
ghoul
when
and you
I
put it
am a
on-
ghoul? What's it look like when it's normal? That means I don't know what it looks like when it's regular. So I'm gonna look at it and be like, "Ooh, his face is all squished."
Yeah, it looks more like a horse's head normal.
Oh,
Whereas right now, it's got like an extra long. It's like a duck-billed unicorn.
Oh my goodness, hilarious!
Super funny. But also the rabbit mask. For those of you who have the rabbit mask, we were testing, and that one gets stretched for some people. So there may be others. We may not have found them all,
Oh, the
but it's just
jackalope
a little
thing?
funny
Right.
thing. Now, Jackalope's normal. Most of them are normal. The Jester's
Wait,
normal.
there's the one-eared rabbit mask.
Yeah, the one-eared rabbit. Yeah, the
Oh,
one
so
Jerry
it's not
used to
just
wear all the time.
Fashnacht ones. Okay,
Mhm.
that's cool.
Yeah, just something to do with the whole making the new face for the ghoul. The way it meshes is wacky.
Wow, that's really interesting.
There's a little fun 76 tidbit. People will share more pics if they have them. But it was great. It was great fun playing with a lot of people. When I did play in 76 this week, just ran around with people. Always fun. But that's it for me, really.
All
I'm sure
righty.
you and Ray have been up to stuff.
No, I don't do stuff anymore. Ray, how about you? Did you get any gaming in under your belt this week, sir?
I did play a lot of game.
Oh, a lot of game. Oh, wait. You dropped an S there, Ray. Let me pick up that S for you. What do you mean?
Well, first off, I've started having problems with my No Man's Sky install.
Uh-oh. That's not
And
good.
I haven't been able to figure out how to fix it permanently.
Did you tell your computer you have a podcast to do?
It told me I was going to have to wait.
Oh no.
So I took a couple of runs at fixing it. It didn't work. So, of course, I took the path of least resistance and played more Starfield. And then played more Starfield.
You get into space somehow.
And more and more and more. And so all I played, I did dip momentarily into 76 to unload all of the somewhat noteworthy gear that I had picked up in the Roundtable run and drop it to my more or less main character. And then I installed the game. So,
No.
Really? You uninstalled the game?
well, so my justification was that I did it because I needed to check and see if it was because I had gotten over 2/3 full on my 2 terabyte gaming hard drive.
Oh, that's smart. Okay.
It wasn't it,
No, it wasn't, was it?
that I didn't
So-
reinstall it.
No, you uninstalled Fallout 76 because we're not doing another 76 roundtable for a while.
And then I played more Starfield.
So what's causing your No Man's Sky issues?
That I'm not sure. It's something that's out there. You know, of course, when you start looking, you find all kinds of people that are talking about how it's happening to them.
Oh, so it's not unusual. Okay.
Yeah. But nobody's figured out how to fix it. So we'll
And-
see. I'll try a few more things. I probably will uninstall No Man's Sky and then reinstall it.
And what are the symptoms? Crashing or something or what?
When I start up a game, when I load into the game, it's really glitchy and stuttery, and the graphics are all blurred, and you really can't do anything.
Did you pop the game out and blow on it and then put it back in?
Yeah, that didn't fix
Damn.
it. I tried dropping all my video settings, but the weird thing is if you just keep loading in, eventually
You'll get a good
It-
one.
you'll get a good one. And it'll play just fine.
It's like it has to
And-
find its groove or something.
Yeah, something. I don't know what it is. So it's been it's been a little frustrating because there's stuff I need to do. You know, fortunately I'd gotten all the big stuff done. I think I might actually have an episode of BBC to upload, but I've been playing Starfield.
Good for you. Yeah. I mean, you have a podcast to do, but Starfield won't play itself.
And fortunately, my co-hosts are incredibly busy right now.
You're like, sweet.
So they're not guilting you at all.
So, well, they're like, I'm really sorry. I can't record this week. Oh,
Oh, darn. I guess I'll go play
well,
games.
I'm hoping everything goes well for you, and we'll see you next week, and then go play Starfield.
Lee mentioned that you might have too many characters. Is that causing your jittering issues?
Impossible. Nope.
Never.
What game do you have the most characters in? Fallout 4, I'm guessing.
It's hard to say. Fallout 4, I think probably if you looked at my save file on the thing is that they're spread out over multiple PCs.
And you clean them out sometimes, right? You kick them out of the nest after a while when it gets too full.
Occasionally. Surprisingly, or possibly not surprisingly, Starfield is the worst.
Possibly not surprisingly. Starfield is the worst in what way?
He was
It
doing a
will-
new character a week for a while there, weren't you?
Well, it won't let you. It starts giving me warnings. Your save file is too big. You need to delete some saves, and it all started happening when I got my level 200 plus character going,
Hmm.
And so I think those saves are just a little bit too big
A little too large,
for
right?
the handler in Starfield. But I'm not going to delete that one.
Got to keep at least a couple of those saves, even if you
Yeah.
delete most.
Yeah.
Huh.
I really, really, really want a character in Starfield that can just wander. One of my favorite things to do in No Man's Sky is to, start off on a planet and don't go to your spaceship. Just start walking. And, you gather things along the way, you sell them at the various traders you come across. So you're making a little cash, getting some nice things, but you're just walking across this planet. Now Baker's done it where he walked all the way around from starting point all the way around this planet.
He circumnavigated the globe.
And back to this same location.
That's amazing.
Vasco de Baker.
And
Vasco de Baker.
I just really want to be able to do that in Starfield, but I just can't make it happen.
Just not set up that way. And there's no way to really identify the square on the map where you've landed. Like you have a point, but it doesn't hollow out a square so you can actually see physically this is exactly where I've explored so far.
Right.
Can you, how many settlements can you build? Can you build a bunch?
Without skills, you can build 8.
Yeah.
So can
and then
you,
you get 4 more each time,
build
right?
8 on one planet, or do they have to be on different planets?
No, I think you can have 4 on one planet. No, maybe not. Maybe you can have more.
I think they might be able to all be on one. They might be able to be all on one.
I think I'm thinking about No Man's Sky. That one
we get them
limits the number you can have on a single planet.
All right, so you need just a planet that you can station every, couple hundred miles. Well, in real life, a couple hundred miles. I know, but you can do it, man. You can put this together. You can do it.
But the thing is that
rovers?
The way that Starfield renders, when you land in a spot, it populates all these points of interest around that landing site.
And it keeps it
if you
until you get up and leave, right?
Well, if you fly back to the same spot,
it'll be like that forever.
It'll be like that forever.
Okay.
But if you walk to the limit of that space,
does it keep generating new spaces?
6,000 meters in either direction.
Okay.
Then there's a hard wall. There's nothing you can do to get beyond that spot.
Yep. But the actual area you can wander in Starfield, Andrew, is larger than Skyrim.
I don't think I've wandered that far. Are there rovers? Is there a way to get from point A to point B faster without your ship? Is there a horseback?
Yeah, there's your vehicle.
There's a vehicle? Okay.
Yeah.
I've never built one.
Which, depending on how many rocks are on the planet, it's faster to run.
It really is. It really is. Or get an orbital shuttle like I have. There are no rocks in the sky yet.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That would be a fun planet. More floating rocks.
Can you kind of go airborne bouncy on a low grav planet in your rover? Oh,
so
that's
fun. It's
that sounds
fun.
great. That sounds great.
So I tried again to come up with one. I turned all of the survival setting up to the max, and so I had almost no carry weight, and had to eat and drink and everything, and there was just no way to make it like a true wandering character. You had to explore around the area that you were in, and then fly to another area, wander around that, fly into another area, and it just didn't work out. So I killed that one.
That's still exploring. It's just not by foot.
Yeah, but that's what I was looking for.
How about by canoe? Can you Lewis and Clark it?
No. Well, I mean, you can swim if the water's not.
Are there rivers now? I've only ever seen large bodies of water.
There's oceans.
I know there's oceans, but do they have flowing rivers?
No, no. So I started going through Nexus again, looking for something. So I came up with a few different mods. I came up with good food that changes the benefits that you get from food so that they're more tied to the volume of food that, is in Like if you're eating a spaghetti and meatballs, it's going to do more for you than just an apple. Then I also loaded in a sustenance overhaul.
So
Nice.
the first point you made was saying that an apple and spaghetti gives you the same HP back or something. Is that what you're saying?
In the regular game.
Yeah. So the mod actually just values spaghetti higher.
Yeah.
Gives you
more, more advantages. Then there's one called Vitality and Sustenance.
And garlic breath.
Yeah. And that one actually gets rid of the regular sustenance perk, which is it's either you're fed or you're not. So either you have all of these benefits or not. It's either positive or negative. There's no, there's nothing in between. It's all or nothing. And so this overall makes it a sliding scale. So if you haven't eaten in a while, you're just a little bit hungry, you might have less of the positive effects, but you're not getting negative effects.
Just more intelligent, intelligent kind of an overhaul for the system. That's good.
Yeah.
Ray, I just wanted to show you this right here. This is a recipe in the Starfield cookbook that I think you would really like. Xenofresh paella.
Ooh, cool.
Xenofresh paella. It's a very Ray looking recipe.
And I also loaded a mod that's called Hunting Trophy that you get more craftable items out of the aliens that you might harvest using the food industry term for killing things.
Right. Harvest. Yeah. But no, that's good. So you're adding a lot to this system. I mean, this is kind of part of your overall Starfield overhaul, right?
Yeah.
Are these getting added to your list of essential mods? Or you're trying them out now?
I'm just trying them out, see how they work. So far, they've all. Also, with the Hunting Trophy mod, you can build taxidermy in your outposts, so you can
mount
the various creatures.
Can you mount a Scorch Beast Queen though? That's the question. Oh, Bethesda, you and your mounted creatures.
Yeah, but then
don't mount
all the fireworks went off when I came across. So SKK Mods is a modder that I've got a lot of different stuff I've used forever.
His alternate start and stuff.
Yeah, his alternate start and his unlimited storage and all kinds of different things. And I came across a mod called the Crimson Start new game.
Okay.
So when you start a new game, you are a pirate at the key in full pirate gear with your own ghost spaceship. You're a member of the Crimson Fleet. You have the choice of, so it asks you about would you join SysDev? And you can answer either maybe if you want to go down the spy on the Crimson Fleet quest line, or never, which immediately makes you an enemy of the SysDev. And of course, that's the one I took. And so previously, when I wanted to be a pirate, I had a mod that if you racked up a high enough bounty, the pirates would stop you and say, hey, we think you're Crimson Fleet material.
Right.
Come and join us. Because I never really did like the way that you start the Crimson Fleet.
That you have to basically be a double agent to start, even if you decide to change your mind.
Yeah. So this one was just like the angels singing. This was absolute perfection for me for starting a pirate character.
How did it go?
Great. Got my little pirate, immediately took off from the key and flew to Serpentis so I could stock up on goods.
Do your thing.
I definitely need to get to level 8 as quickly as I can.
What happens at 8?
You have access to the PB-30.
Oh, your boosters or whatever?
No, weapons.
The guns.
Oh, the cannons, right. Your blaster things. What does a pirate ship look like in space? Can you put like a skull and crossbones on a you don't really have sales and shit, you know? So how do you indicate, not that you want to advertise that because, like, won't the cops hassle you more?
They've got their own style, but here's the skull and crossbones I just dropped in the Discord that they use.
Oh, they actually
Because
do
of
have a
fleet.
skull and crossbones. Cool.
Yeah, they've got a logo
Yep.
like most factions.
Oh,
Yep.
nice.
So, but yeah, so that's been a lot of fun so far. But I've really enjoyed the vitality and sustenance overhaul. That's been good. Good food. Add some interesting stuff. I haven't started down the gastronomy skill set yet to start unlocking the new recipes, but definitely have a lot of stuff to try. So
Yeah, there are getting to be more and more good creations and mods out there.
oh yeah.
Excited to see them. And some of the big ones are hitting. Like, I mean, we know they kind of started this winter with bigger ones hitting, but we're not even next 2 months from now, we'll be at a year since the creation kit's been out. So give them time. But I was talking about the Dark Star overhaul the other day and the way it blends in level scaling and ship building and outpost building and just some really cool features. Eventually we'll get more and more overhauls. One thing that's weird to me, that in most Bethesda games, one of the first mods you get within the first year, like the big ones become popular, are lighting mods and texture mods. And we haven't really got those in Starfield, have we?
No, and I think the texture mods, a lot of that is because of the system that they use.
Yeah, the new system. I mean, the default textures are better than some previous games, and the whole double layer system that they use that makes sense. And as far as lighting, I just think there's probably so much to light. Like you could relight a city, but there's so many locations. Like, how would you really relight all of that?
Yeah.
Same with weather.
And one of the first ones I'd loaded was the LUTs.
Oh, they do, right. They do have
lighting
LUT
overall.
style lighting. Yeah, it's not quite the same as enhanced lighting and effects where they kind of like change like placement of lights and stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But they do, I mean, and they might not have a universal weather overhaul, but I have seen that some that change planetary atmospheres, which is close, if a little different.
Yeah, definitely still loving the Galactic Storage Network. On the character that I started off using that with, I got that one to all of the available storage units that didn't require either going to Constellation or going to the Key with the pirates.
Mm-hmm.
But I found a bunch of the other ones, and they're in very interesting places. So, chatting with the mod author, he was looking for locations that everybody goes to and always ends up with a lot of loot that they have to deal with. And so he put them in those locations so that you could have a place to unload the extra loot that you got once you got done with that run. Now the keys are not always easy to get if you're going to go for these. So they're bigger. Most of the ones that you get in like spaceports and stuff like that are around 300 kilos, and the ones in these special locations are over 800. But you're going to need expert or master picklock to be able to get to them. So
Cool.
but I've just been having a blast. I love Starfield. Yeah, and with all these mods, it just makes, coming up with quirky ideas and things to do.
It really does add a lot. Like, I mean, it always does on all their games, but it adds a lot to the game. And we're getting to that point where we'll start to have more loadouts, more overhauls, more like essential mods that I always have these ones loaded, figure those out. And I'm excited for people who coming in. I mean, supposedly there's a lot of fun stuff on the horizon for Starfield this year. Just be nice if they told us what it is. Man, I feel like Bethesda forgot what a roadmap was about 2 years ago because they just stopped giving us any on any of the games. No more roadmaps for you.
Yeah. Well, the way that Bethesda works, roadmaps really
They're dangerous.
lock you in.
They're dangerous because delays happen. And also, since they started working with multiple teams, it's one team can get ahead of schedule, one team can get behind. No, I completely understand why they don't. I like to joke about the roadmaps because people really did like them. And now we just get our community event map. Even ESO switching to a season system like we were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've gotten to where I don't even pay attention to what they say. You guys do you. I'm gonna stay here in this lane and do my thing. And if you come up with something cool, I might think about looking at it. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I'm good.
You go where your inspiration and the round table takes you. Cool beans.
So that's why I was so heavily into Starfield, because I was trying all kinds of new stuff. So
How about you, Andrew? Have you been playing Starfield, or what have you been up to?
No, I don't
I
play
know.
games. I've been not playing a ton of games. Like I mentioned last week, I busted out the Mario Kart DS on my 3DS. I wiped that clean. I've been starting fresh from that, so I've just been. I finally made it through the base 8 tracks, not tracks, courses. So there's 32 tracks, but I did the cups, not courses. Sorry. I finished all the first 8 of those cups at the slowest, and I used to be able to just like breeze by everything. They have like this weird ranking system, is like 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 stars, then A, B, C, D. I don't know why they do it like that, but I used to get like 3 stars, easy, no problem, all the time on the slow settings. Now I'm like getting C's. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I'm still like way out of practice, and I don't know. My old man mind just can't keep up like it used to. Other than that, I don't know. Not a ton. I've 76. I decided with my ghoul character that I didn't have the jetpack yet, so I wanted to go back, and I forgot how you do that. And this was like, oh, you got to complete the Wastelanders quest line, either the Settlers or the Raider side. And I was like, oh yeah, I did that with my last character and ran through the Settler side. So this time I decided, oh, let's go on the Raider side. So we're through till blanked on her name. What's that little girl?
Rara.
Rara, yeah. So I'm with Rara at the Grafton Dam or whatever it is, trying to feed her through the tunnels and meet her through the door. You know that
Oh
that
no!
quest.
Are you really doing that quest?
I'm trying to. Why?
Because I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to drop. Oh, do I have it? I don't want to make you wait.
Oh,
Here
no.
we go. I got it.
All right.
I got it. Rah-rah.
Yay! I knew you'd help. I'm come to save you, Bun-a-Bun. We're gonna find my Bun-a-Bun. Maybe we'll also find a gun. We'll kill some robos. Shoot! Don't eat stuff that makes you toot.
Thanks, Rara.
Love her.
I've had to start it twice now because either something gets stuck or I'm just not finding something right. So I'm going to attempt it a third time before I write it off and just be like, well, fuck that. But it's been fun running around with Rara. I like the sort of the puzzle aspect of it so far. Yeah, so other than that, I haven't really played a ton of video games. I did get a little bit of bad news this week. I've been having a little bit of forearm and finger tingling numbness stuff going on, and my doctor said, oh, you probably got carpal tunnel going on. So I don't know if this is gonna like force me into like taking it like monitored video game time, you know what I mean? Like have to cut back, or who knows what this is gonna do. But
I've had to wear braces twice because of stuff acting up for a while, and I work on keyboards for a living, mousing and typing and stuff. So yeah, it definitely happens. But I find even if you got to occasionally wear a brace or just like a little wrist, exactly. You find the right position with the thumbsticks. I don't feel that exacerbates it much on a controller, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's different activity, controller versus. But that's real carpal tunnel when you might need surgery if it gets bad enough. That's different.
Yeah, I don't want
my
that.
mom
Don't want
had
to
to have
progress
that.
to that.
Yep, I've only had strains.
Yeah, so I'm doing the stretches and stuff like that, hopefully to prevent that bad stuff from coming.
But honestly, if you have to cut anything out, I would say work first, okay? You don't do that. Maybe a little
fuck
less.
your
I still gotta play the
job.
guitar, but maybe less drumming.
Oh, come on. Yeah, I drum.
I'm sure Tori would be totally on board with it.
Yeah.
For your health.
Yeah, I'm sure it'd have nothing to do with me drumming at 3 a.m. when she's trying to sleep.
See, that's what I'm wondering, if you just came off of a month or two of recording an album, like if that's part of it too, if that exacerbates it a little.
Mhm.
Yeah, that could. It's
and the
going
thing
on
that
for a
helped me a
while.
lot was I got one of those gyro balls.
I don't know what that
It's
is.
a little. It's a gyroscope that you hold in your hand, and you rotate it with your hand, and it makes the gyroscope go faster and faster and faster, which creates more and more resistance. And it's essentially an exercise that strengthens your forearm and all those muscles. They'll be burning like crazy after you get the thing revved up.
Well,
By the way, Andrew,
let's take a look at it. What's up?
Jetpack. You mentioned Jetpack Wastelanders. So keep in mind that info is out of date. You do need to get through the Wastelanders quest line to be able to get, I believe, the Secret Service or the Brotherhood Recon Jetpack. But technically, you can get a civil engineer jetpack with stamps too if you just run a bunch of expeditions. So there is another path.
Oh, fuck that. I'd rather do the Wastelanders than Expeditions.
I mean, yeah, an actual storyline, no, for sure. But just saying, there is another way now for anyone listening.
It's hilarious. Sweet. I'll check it out. Yeah, gameplay wise, yeah, like I mentioned, I didn't do a ton. So that's lots of, I guess I played some Shelter too, but nothing exciting really. I'm at the point where I'm ready to kill all my Shelter again and start over.
There you go. There
Start
you
a new
go.
one,
I mean,
start a new one.
but hey, we may have Oblivion in a few days. I know. There are always more stuff to play. There are other games. I mean, you could branch out, try other games for a bit.
Well,
Maybe
see,
a new Roundtable soon.
That's the thing, we just finished a Roundtable, so like you mentioned, your brain kind of like wants to try new things, go out.
It does.
I bought the Stalker series. I also got, like I mentioned, the BioShock, and I just bought Raft last week. So like, I'm purchasing lots of games, but like as soon as I sit down to play them, I'm meeting all sorts of resistance with myself. I'm just like, no, I don't want to do this. So like, okay, then stop buying the fucking new games that you're not going to play when you sit down and don't play them. I was like, oh, but I want to play them. Then I sit down and play them, and no, I don't want to play this. So
Totally get it. I totally get it.
I just need to get the Game Pass thing and try that for a while. See if
It does. It can help. Although then you play the fun game of I've installed 10 things I want. I'm scrolling to the store Game Pass for an hour and then decide to watch something.
It's the same problem as soon as you get. If you only have 3 channels, it's easy to make a decision. As soon as you get Netflix, you spend your whole evening scrolling instead of actually watching anything. You know what I mean?
Yep. Spend a lot of time on that home screen.
Yeah.
It's same with YouTube. You know what I mean? Like I watch a lot of YouTube. A lot of it is for specific purposes. I load in thinking there are things I want to watch, but then you've got that YouTube suggested. And next thing you know, you've spent an hour or two watching things YouTube thinks you want to watch. And they're a little bit right, but it really keeps you from accomplishing the specific goal if you fall for it. Fall for the algorithm. I like to say we don't have streaming services anymore. We have algorithms. Well.
Yeah. So,
Ready to get into some feedback, do you think? Or
let's do it. Who do you want to do? We got Sully or Lee, Vanessa, and Sean up tonight.
Let's start out and see what Pyro's up to. Let's see how he finished up those quests.
All right, let's see.
What's up, everyone? This is Pyro Anderson, and it's finally here. The moment we've all been waiting for. At least I know I have been. Time to gut Hugo like the cowardly bastard he is.
Dude, if you're talking about gutting people and everything, you need to stay way away from me. I have seen way too many times what you do with people.
Don't worry. I'm only going to be in your hair just for a little bit longer, and then you'll never see me again.
You promise?
Hell no, I'm not promising anything. Chances are you'll see me here in a few days.
Oh, God.
So, this whole thing comes down to Hugo wanting to cure his wife of her ferality. The crazy-ass weather system and the loss just happen to be collateral damage. Not that he gives 2 shits, he's not sorry about that at all. In fact, he doesn't consider it a mistake, he thinks it's just incomplete. Like they just didn't quite get there. I don't know, those Lost seem batshit crazy to me. So I had a little conversation with Hilda, Audrey, and Oberlin, and they want me to go test out these weather stations to make sure they're working properly. There's 3 of them, because of course there is. First one is called Research Site Saxony, and it's crawling with super mutants. Along the way there, I run into this guy that goes by the name of Biscuits McShits. That's a hell of a name. I wonder how he came up with that. Maybe Biscuits made him shit a lot, I don't know. But between the 2 of us, we took out those super mutants, no problem. After about a minute or 2, they all got the information they wanted from the machine. Turns out there was nothing new, so on to Site Bavaria. Basically, we repeated the process, but this time instead of super mutants, it was thrashers, those giant-ass turkeys that want to rip your head off. Don't fuck with turkeys, trust me, I know. Same deal here. No real new information, but somebody started speculating that maybe Hugo is using these machines to control the Lost as opposed to cure them. That's a scary thought. But anyway, on to Site Rhineland. This time we're dealing with Lost. After another minute or so, the experiment concluded, and Hilda confirms that the outcome is what she expected. This was all a distraction. These machines were working perfectly, and Hugo just used us to test it out again. He's now left Vault 63 and went over to the Hawksbill weather station, so we'll meet up with him there. So I make my way to the Hawksbill weather station and hear from Oberlin, who tells me that we need him alive. Fuck that. I get that with Hugo being the only sane Lost, that they need him for the research, but you know what? He's done way too much to deserve being alive anymore. After getting to the Hawksbill weather station, I had a little conversation with Audrey, and she agrees with me. He's done way too much. Used way too many people to stay alive. That bastard's gotta pay. So I get into the atrium, and lo and behold, there's Hugo, and he makes this long, boring, villainous monologue about why he did it, and it's for the greater good. I tuned out about halfway through. No, I'm not listening to a word he's saying. I get that he wants to have the life that he had with his wife before all this shit went down, but guess what, man? It's all you're doing. So I told him to shove it, and the fighting begins. And guess what? Hugo is being cowardly. He's hiding behind all these Lost that he's controlling to attack me. But I had people at my side as well. Biscuits McShits followed me in here along with some other random-ass person who decided to join us in taking Hugo down. Hugo seemed to be drawing power from these other Lost, though, because I swear I put him down twice before he finally went down for good. This spineless coward actually tried to convince me to join him once again. Like I'm gonna do that. No, you're dead meat. So, yeah. He also ended up being food for me. After a battle like that, I got a little hungry. He had a pretty nice two-handed electric sword, though. That was kind of cool. Oberlin, predictably, was not happy, but he didn't have time to bitch at me for very long. Have to say I was a little surprised that Audrey put a bullet in him. Didn't expect that. Grief will get to you, and he'd been giving her grief her entire life. Head back to Vault 63 to talk to her, and she wasn't excited to see me. Still blamed me a bit for what happened to Alex, and I don't really blame her, but she knows that I wasn't entirely to blame for that. Once again, Hugo was manipulating people to get what he wanted, and I just happened to be a victim in that. We're all victims to Hugo, one way or another, but not anymore. So, Audrey's gonna run things at the vault from now on. Not sure what she did to Hilda, but I can't imagine it being pleasant. I gotta say, all this stuff, I've seen way too much here. I'm getting a little tired of Appalachia. So, you may or may not see me anymore, who knows, but I think I gotta get out of here. So, I've heard some interesting things that are going on in the Capital Wasteland, or maybe I'll make my way over to the Commonwealth. I don't know, or who knows? You may even see me out in California. We'll just have to see, but who knows? But regardless, it's time for me to ride out into the sunset. But wherever I go, I know one thing's for sure. They are not going to know how to handle me, because I bring the fire. Zulior,
Yeah.
I'm going to leave these toxic goo piles as a souvenir, but later, dude. And don't miss me too much. You ever want to turn into a ghoul as well? I know how to do it.
I think I'm good, so...
Anyway, bye, Pyro. So, yeah, I had to kill Hugo. I had spared him a couple of times, so I knew how that went. But I figured Pyro had to kill him. As much as he's talked about it, he had to do it. And I was not expecting Oberlin to die. Yeah, that was surprising, hearing that over the intercom. So, yeah, thank you to Biscuits McShits for jumping in and helping me. He just kind of joined. Like, I didn't ask for him to. I was going to try and take out Hugo on my own, but I was not going to turn down help. And I was also really surprised at the random guy on our team also coming and taking out Hugo with me. It was pretty fun. Just all of us just wailing on Hugo before he finally went down. Anyway, yeah, I have had a blast with this roundtable. This was the first 76 roundtable that I've been a part of, and I'm kind of sad that it's over. Also, it was my first time actually role-playing a character, so hope y'all enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it, and we'll see what happens next roundtable. Whatever that is, who knows? Depending on what the character is, I may or may not try and roleplay that one as well. But until that time comes, I guess I will see you all in the wasteland.
Glad, what was his name? Captain Shit Biscuits was there?
So, okay, to clarify there, that's actually a friend of ours, Biscuits McBiscuits, as I call him. I refuse to say his name because it's gross. But yeah, so Biscuits McBiscuits is a friend of ours who jumped in to help him. And also another rando joined for that couple fights and that final battle. And believe it or not, Sulior did not die once in the final battle against Hugo. So bravo. I guess that's what happens when you have friends.
I beg that people in my random team would ever show up to anything that I'm like, oh my God, please, I've got a pasta squatch on my hands and I'm dying 38 times in a row. Please.
So many of us are always down to join you when you're there.
Well, eventually I got Solior to join me, but like it took me hey, can you come out? Yeah, instead of like
who's on,
instead
and
of like
message.
a rando jumping in and doing that's in my experience, randos don't jump in to your. If you ever hit X to enter as leader, don't ever expect anyone to randomly come in and help
they don't.
you.
They don't
no
do
one
that.
ever
No.
comes in.
You need to put out the bat signal. You need to message the Xbox chat or see if you know anybody on and send them an Xbox message.
Yeah.
Like, hey, fighting robot, need help. And then you get in
Send
trouble
help.
like I did with that one random.
Robot whooping my ass. Please help.
Yep. It still amuses me. Like, I remember a year ago laughing about new players joining the game and doing things way too early and having to help that level 28 fight an imposter sheep squatch. And then we did the same thing on the round table because we were mostly low level.
I'm level 200. I still need help with the pasta sheep squatch.
I mean, a lot of pasta. Pasta's harder than an apple. That's what we learned tonight. But besides that, let's see, what else did Solior get into? One thing he mentioned on his ending, so he killed Hugo, which I think you did too, Ray, right?
No,
Or no?
I imprisoned him.
Okay, I was thinking one of you did. Did you, Andrew?
I did, yes.
Okay. And one thing he mentioned that you didn't bring up is that after that, Audrey actually shot Oberlin, which is, for whatever reason, because Oberlin's protesting that he's trying to stop you, tell you not to kill Hugo, and Audrey puts a bullet in him, which I didn't know, but Celia talked about it, and I read that when I was reading up on the different endings. So that's pretty extreme, and that is a way to get her as an overseer if you do that. I'm not surprised that she's still not super happy with you, though. That seems like an odd ending. We have 3 more feedbacks coming in. We'll see if anybody took the Hugo wins ending, but I don't imagine.
No, how could they? It's like those rare folks who like the Legion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't admit to it. Only when we make them with the Roundtable, which, once again,
Exactly.
shout out to our friends who played Legion for us for the Roundtable. We appreciate you.
But who in their right mind, like you mentioned, unless the draw in front of the Roundtable is going to side with Hugo? Like, the story is not built for you to side with Hugo unless you're a fucking psychopath or playing a bad guy or something. You know what I mean?
Celia mentions,
in my opinion.
right, one way he got help, too, is that he always streams the Roundtable quests like he has been Saturdays or Sundays quite often during the Roundtable. And so that lets people know you're on and they can see,
That
and
would
maybe
help.
they'll join you too.
Yeah.
Mhm. I also want to say, Pyro, you sexy beast. I like the way that you shouted out the next potential Roundtable coming up. When like, I'll see you in the Capital Wasteland or the Commonwealth or maybe even California. Like, he's there thinking, he knows what's up. Maybe we'll get some more Pyro in the future.
The next Roundtable in space.
In Cyrodiil. No, I don't know. Sorry. But yeah, that's it for me. Great feedback. Thank you. And
Yeah,
Pyro's been
thank
a
you,
lot
sir.
of fun.
All season long. Much appreciated, Mr. Pyro. All right, let's continue on with the feedback. And I don't think that we have heard this tonight, but let's check in with Mr. Lee.
Episode 11, Revelations and Conclusions. After returning to her camp and recovering somewhat from the tensions of the previous few days, Toe returned to Vault 96. Hugo was in his office waiting for her. He talked of final preparations for curing the lost. She told him that they couldn't just go back to business as usual after what he'd done to Audrey and Alex. He hoped that Audrey would forgive him, given time. Then he broke into a lecture about the nature of lightning and how he and Cassidy had lightning contained within themselves and referred to it as chaos contained. She didn't understand, and Hugo continued his lecture. He talked of how he and Cassidy had accomplished so much together. After the earthquake crippled Vault 96 and ghoulified its residents, he saw Cassidy starting to go feral and slipping from him. He took her to the weather machine and pushed it to its limits, hoping to cure her. He didn't see the accident as an issue. The initial result, though incomplete, created the lost. His next goal was to complete the experiment to return all of the lost and his beloved Cassidy to their new normal of just being ghouls. Toe agreed to hear him out, but didn't commit to anything. He said that Hilda and Audrey were close to a solution involving tissue samples harvested from him and needed her help to gather the data needed to complete their work. Hugo told Toe that she had helped them get past a plateau in the work, and that her work was incredibly important to the progress being made. Toe left to check in with Hilda and Audrey. She found them in the clinic with Oberlin, discussing the next steps and the dangers involved in taking them. Audrey felt that the next steps were essential as they have no other options, despite Hugo being both a liar and a killer, as pointed out by Oberlin. Hilda insists that they make their decisions quickly, as the tissue samples from Hugo won't be usable for long. Since Hugo was the only one of the lost to retain his personality, he was the key to completing the experiment. The difference during the accident was that Hugo had direct contact with the machine. The next step was to have Toe use the lightning harvesters to expose the samples on a small scale before they committed to using the weather machine directly. All Toe will have to do is keep each device safe and report to them via radio. Audrey marked the first site on her Pip-Boy map and designated it Site Saxony. The site was at the far west side of the park, west of Naked Creek. The trek to Naked Creek was uneventful, but she was soon attacked by a thrasher, followed by an enormous blue creature resembling a wolfman. This creature startled her so much that she fled uncontrollably and fell into a nearby ravine. When she recovered, she found that she'd run all the way to the old Crimson Mines and headed northwest from there, hoping to not encounter the great wolfman again. At Site Saxony, she found several super mutants and the strange machine they had called a lightning harvester. Fearing lightning strikes, she gingerly pressed the button. She was then beset by mutant hounds, which fortunately drove her away from the device, for when the lightning came, the remaining hounds were all killed, and she was safely out of the way. The team told her that the sample remained agitated, whatever that meant, but the experiment was clearly a failure. On to the next device at the site designated Bavaria. Checking her map, she found Site Bavaria far to the eastern side of the park, south of the Shining Creek. Upon arrival, there were more thrashers. It only took a little while to get the lightning harvester through the test, and the resulting lightning took out the remaining thrashers. Over the radio, she heard Audrey talking to Oberlin. The Lost responded to the samples and moved toward them. Oberlin concluded that instead of Hugo trying to cure the Lost, he was trying to control them. He went to arrest Hugo, and Audrey asked Tow to proceed to Site Rhineland. She wanted to know if Oberlin's conclusion was true, or if it was a fluke of the settings used with Site Bavaria. Site Rhineland was west-northwest of the trading post, so Tow headed there. At Site Rhineland, she was greeted by feral Lost. The third test confirmed that the Lost would now move toward the samples. Oberlin came back to the lab via radio and reported that Hugo had left the vault and Tow was to return immediately. When Tow reported to Oberlin's office, he told her that Hugo took Cassidy with him, which meant he went to the weather machine to complete his plan. This would also create Hugo's now obedient army of the Lost, as the weather station was already set to the parameters of the final test. They must act now. Tow was instructed to head to the metrology center of the vault at Hawksbill Weather Station. Unfortunately, Hugo already had a head start. Oberlin insisted that Hugo be kept alive so that they could learn more about the affliction of the Lost. Otherwise, years of research would be lost. At Hawksbill, Tow eliminated the expected robo-brains and went inside. There she found Audrey, who told her that there were many of the Lost in the facility. She seriously wanted to kill Hugo, but she had only managed to delay him, which she was sure wouldn't help for long. Tow left Audrey. Working her way through the corridors, Tow came to a laser grid that had previously blocked her. She then dispatched more of the Lost and came to the heart of the machine. There she found Hugo, who, as usual, was apologetic for his previous deception, but it was the only way to get her out of the way and further his plan. He was on an upper platform with Cassidy sitting against the railing beside him, rocking back and forth. He ranted about their change and how she couldn't possibly understand what they'd become. The last time Cassidy stood here with him, it caused an accident, and the Great Storm was the result. He believes he can restore her and all of the Lost to their previous state, being merely ghouls. Tow encouraged him to stop, since now he had Cassidy. Hugo said it was only for fleeting moments. He had to complete her and the Lost's final transformation. Hugo then exploded with a burst of light and appeared to summon more of the Lost, which then attacked. Tow defeated them and him, but he rose again, coming back like a bad penny. She defeated him a second time, and again he recovered and summoned more of the Lost. This time he was exhausted and ready to talk. Tow contained her rage and offered him a comfy jail cell per Oberlin's instructions. Over the PA system, Audrey was furious, but Tow followed Oberlin's instructions and climbed to the top of the weather machine, passing Cassidy along the way, and turned it off so that Hugo could be safely captured and Cassidy could be returned to Vault 96. She checked on Hugo and confirmed he was no longer a threat and handcuffed him to the railing. She then returned to Vault 63 per Oberlin's orders. Entering Hugo's office, she found Oberlin seated at the overseer's desk. He congratulated her for being one of the good ones and told her that Hugo and Cassidy were returned to the vault. Stolz isn't talking yet, and Cassidy will be kept in her room and under observation. Hugo is now safely sedated and is likely the key to curing both Cassidy and the Lost. Now that Hugo's plan had been foiled, Oberlin can work on fixing things in Vault 96. He wasn't sure what would happen to the storm, but was hoping that it would dissipate on its own now that the weather machine had been shut down. He'd have to ask Audrey to keep an eye on it for him. He had forgiven Audrey for trying to shoot him at some point, and how she proceeds from here is up to her. Hilda's research may eventually help them to cure the Lost. Only time will tell. Oberlin thanked Toe again and said that she had earned his respect. He told her not to be a stranger, emphasizing, with a small grin, that this was an order. Toe returned to her camp and wrote up a report about the storm in Vault 96 and prepared to take it to the Brotherhood. Epilogue. Toe cut his wrap-up for the Fallout feed Roundtable Season 16. Well, that was quite the ride and an emotional roller coaster for our hero, Toe. At several places I took a little license with the story to include details that I felt were needed to clarify things. Here's one example from the last episode. I was disappointed with having to leave Hugo basically unattended and return to the vault at the end. It would have been better if Oberlin had showed up to take Hugo into custody, but then that didn't happen. I added handcuffing Hugo to the railing. I do have a few regrets from this roundtable that I can recall off the top of my head. I wish I'd taken a picture of Hugo and Cassidy at the machine in the final episode, but the tension was such that I missed the chance. The enemies were tough, and although the heavy weapons build did help immensely, I wish I had done a better job of protecting Toe. So many deaths of the player character. Starting at level 20 helped with early combat, but it was no help in finding locations that would have come naturally in getting to level 20. Toe ended up at level 92. A correction I'd like to make is that throughout my feedback episodes, I referred to the metrology sector or lab, when it should have been the meteorology sector or lab. The difference is that meteorology, as we know, is the study of the atmosphere and what we call weather. Metrology is the scientific study of measurements. Among the uses of a metrology lab is the periodic calibration of scientific and other test equipment.
There we go.
As usual, the roundtable format is a great boon to ASA Podcasting's community building, and I'd like to thank you all again for your kind comments on my feedback.
Well, shit, Lee, we couldn't do without people like you. Do you guys know my official job title?
Are you a metrologist?
I am a metrologist.
Are you really
yes,
now in this current position?
Yeah, my position is a metrologist. So that is hilarious that Lee defined metrology for us right there.
So it is the study of the Capital Wasteland Metro, right? Like you can get through the map
yes,
now?
it's, well, no one has ever actually successfully navigated that tunnel system, so we're still working on it.
Metrologists are trying to spelunk it to this day.
We keep dying from the fucking ghouls.
But that was awesome. Lee shared some pictures along the way, as he often does.
All right.
Some great ones of Hugo there. I'm with him at getting Hugo and Cassidy at the machine. That would have been a good keepsake for this quest, but it's pretty quick, and he's lecturing at you trying to turn to the dark side. So it makes sense that you get a little distracted. Like, you'd have to be pretty quick with the camera to get that picture. He went with Oberlin as well. Oberlin looks good behind the...
I was just going to say, Oberlin looks stately behind that desk, doesn't he? Nice shadows.
Yeah, he actually smiles, too. A much better choice than Hugo was.
Was that a real smile? I thought
that's
his
a good level
face
for a
was
roundtable
cracking.
character. Starting at 20. I went 92 and I ended around 50, 51, but that's because I did the last 3 quests on my regular main character and not on Hard Knock yet. Ray, you ended up in the 50s, right? 60s, maybe?
I think it was 53.
Okay. So we're right around the same area.
And that was because when I was 45, I took the boost to
50. Right. We talked about that. You said how you had all those atoms to burn.
Yep.
That makes sense. I know Cilior and some got a little higher. Yeah, Pyro was around 130, but he was playing on him pretty regularly. I think a few of the others too. Vanessa, of course, this whole thing has been her first time playing, so she's been doing, as you guys know, regular quests in between. And same with Stratoblaster's character there. Isaiah has done a lot of, not their first time playing, of course, but been doing a lot of the regular quests when they couldn't finish the middle of the first half of the round table.
Did Vanessa do any main quests? She finishing that? Or Wastelanders
she was
or any of that
back
stuff?
And doing some of that. She talked about some of it in the playthrough, but I don't know where she's at. Maybe we'll hear a little bit about that in tonight's feedback when we get to her.
Nice. Speak of the devil.
Hi everyone, it's Vanessa with my final feedback for this roundtable. Respecting Oberlin's request for time to consider his response to Hugo's deceit, Jim finds himself back up at Paradise Valley Cabins investigating the demise of the Order of Mysteries and then back at his camp reinventing himself. With his increasing stealth training, he's begun to harbour a daft romantic idea of himself as an archer, silently raining death upon unsuspecting enemies before retreating unseen into the shadows. Plus his plasma rifle is becoming a right pain to repair, and he's forever out of adhesive. He crafts himself a bow and 100 arrows and heads back to Vault 63 with a plan to retreat to his camp and switch back to a rifle loadout if it looks like he's being sent into a death trap. Hugo greets him as usual and recounts his first meeting with Cassidy and explains how everything he's doing is to bring her back. Jim is almost taken in and has to remind himself how he's been lied to at every turn by the murderous overseer. He's sent to speak with Audrey, Hilda and Oberlin next, who are apparently close to a breakthrough regarding the Lost. He's surprised after recent events that everyone seems to be working happily together. They want him to head out to 3 devices with a sample of Hugo's cell tissue so they can do sciencey things. Really, he's given up trying to understand the Stoltz family. The less he questions them, the sooner he can be rid of them. More importantly, though, a mission out in the open will be great for his archery practice. At the first machine, he encounters super mutants. He does a thorough patrol of the area and picks off all those he can see before activating the machine. A few more mutants appear while the Vault 63 crew are doing their thing, but not enough to do serious damage to the device. He lays low but keeps an eye on them in case he needs to step in. The same thing happens at the 2nd and 3rd devices, but with Thrashers and Lost respectively. He picks them off beforehand, and there are too few left to damage the machines while they run their analysis. While he's feeling pleased with how his part in this task has gone, Audrey and co are concluding that Hugo is intending to control the Lost and could be raising a small army of them right now. He heads back to the vault to be brought up to speed. Oberlin greets him and says Hugo has gone to the Hawksbill weather station. He would like Jim to bring Hugo back in alive. They need his knowledge and also further cell samples for experimentation. But Hugo will be kept under lock and key. Sure he will, thinks Jim, until the slippery sod tricks someone into letting him out. As ideas go, it's almost as bad as letting a voice over an intercom persuade you to head through violent lightning storms to a vault in Shenandoah. But back to business. An army of Lost in an enclosed space is no place for a fledgling archer, so despite the apparent urgency, he heads back to camp and repairs rifle and armour ready for a protracted gunfight. He meets Audrey on his way into Hawksbill. She wants Hugo dead, saying that the fact that she even wants this is a measure of how dangerous her father's become. Much as he would prefer to side with Oberlin, Audrey's way leaves less risk in the future, and as Hugo's daughter, he feels she should have the greater say on matters. After fighting past a few Lost, he finds Hugo up on a catwalk in the main room housing the weather machine. Cassidy is slumped next to him, and no doubt more Lost are around somewhere. Like all good villains, Hugo spells out his plan before vowing to end Jim, the last person standing in his way. Sure enough, several heavily armed Lost appear, and it's all he can do to heal up the damage they're doing. He runs up the metal walkways, but they provide precious little cover. At the top, he finds a terminal and hammers on the keyboard in the hope that it will do something with the machine that will put a stop to the fight, but it's unresponsive. About 15 stim packs down, and having barely got a shot in himself, in desperation he jumps up on top of the weather machine, finally out of the firing line, taking only small amounts of damage from what seems to be lightning jumping around the machine. From this perch he's able to pick the Lost off without too much trouble as they stand conveniently round the perimeter of the room. But Hugo retreats towards the doorway, and Jim has to descend a couple of times to coax him out, although it's a much more straightforward matter without the Lost interfering. Annoying to the last, Hugo recovers all his health a couple of times before finally surrendering. Oberlin and Audrey are in his ear again, putting forth their arguments as to what should be done with Hugo. Jim doesn't want to take any chances and fires the final shot to hopefully end this once and for all. Oberlin takes it in his stride, but at least wants the body recovered before it deteriorates, and Audrey shoots Oberlin in cold blood. Jim can't believe what he's heard, but stays behind in a semi-daze to power down the machine now that the terminal has come to life, before pulling himself together and storming back to the vault. He seriously hates the Stoltz family. Everyone is expendable to these lying billionaires. And sure enough, Audrey is sat there calmly with no remorse for Oberlin, and expecting Jim to give her a pep talk about what a great overseer she'll be. Like father, like daughter, he thinks, turning and leaving these degenerates behind for good. The end. So I've enjoyed my time in 76. I've stuck with my Roundtable build all the way through. I guess most of my perks are kind of utility ones, like Cannibal and Lone Wanderer and stuff like that, so nothing that was sort of weapon specific. So it's been kind of easy to sort of switch a few times between pistols and rifles, and now bow and arrow, which, like I say, it was always my plan to go with archery at the end to continue playing the game. So yeah, I've enjoyed it. The Brotherhood quest lines, all the earlier stuff that I've done, the Overseer quest line, the Responders, the Scorched Plague and all that. Skyline Valley, not so much. Just, kind of like the ending where it's like a classical Fallout thing where you just have to pick the least bad choice, I suppose, or there's no good outcome. But just the way you couldn't even challenge Hugo or Audrey in any of the dialogue options was a bit disappointing. But yeah, anyway, great roundtable. Look forward to the next one. See you all in the wasteland. Bye.
Do the 76 quests have to be more on rails because of the structure of the game versus like Fallout 4? There seemed to be less like weaving options, fewer consequences to answers, stuff like that.
Yeah, ultimately, the game can't change as much as it might in other ones because we're all playing in the same game world.
Yeah.
They do have, you can do instances, like within the instances themselves, you can see different things and have different reactions from characters. And that's why they've added more and more instance places with these quest lines. But yeah, the overall game world, no, there has to be a happy medium that everybody plays in.
Yeah.
But that does answer a question a little bit. She's planning on sticking with it some, switching to the bow and arrow now, working on that. She's already done most of the original quest line, the Overseer's quest line she did up through Rose, I think she was saying. I don't know if she's done Free States or BOS on like the original one yet. Vanessa, I don't remember you talking about that. Maybe you have. Apologies if so. She also started talking about the Mistress of Mysteries at the beginning, one of a lot of people's favorite quest line in the game. Like, it's a nice one. It's got permutations, it's got some surprises. I mean, not the most surprising, but some surprises. And Cryptos, you can't beat the lair. That lair unveil is maybe the coolest moment in 76.
And a hot dress, too. Right, Jess?
I mean, I think so. Absolutely. Although I am wearing the fringe flapper dress a bit more these days.
What? Variation?
Girls got to mix it up. Goes well with the beret. As long as it coordinates with the beret, that's what's important.
I'm surprised they haven't started releasing variations on the beret, like pink sparkly beret or red beret. Like, why aren't there a billion colors of beret?
They have a couple, but they've been mostly the military style.
Yeah, you're
we've
right.
gotten like Free States and Enclave and stuff. The one alternate is they did the fancy gold beret, the gold sparkly beret.
Oh, the New Year's dress or whatever?
It's just
gala
like the New Year's dress.
Okay.
Yeah, I do have that one, but I never really wear it. I like my Fashionok beret. It's the coolest.
The OG.
No strawberry berets.
No strawberry berets. Yeah, but it's fun hearing Vanessa
Prince?
Stuff. Yes, some of the quest lines
raspberry
too.
beret or whatever.
Oh, right. Sorry, I got that confused. He said strawberry. I just went with it. Same thing, some red berry.
Yeah,
Okay.
I couldn't remember which berry.
She wore a raspberry beret, the kind you find in a secondhand store.
I knew what he meant. But just the thoughts on the quest line. It's funny, while the story for Skyline Valley was pretty complex, and we talked about how it had some complexity, and there's even a bit of a soap opera vibe to it. I wish it had more space to flesh out some of the family history and the stories and the rivalries. I almost, now that I'm thinking about it, I hadn't thought about this now, but she mentioned the shadowy lightning storm, and it kind of has a Dark Shadows vibe to it too. You got Hugo as like Barnabas Collins and everybody in the mansion. I don't know, for my old school Dark Shadows fans, shout out. But I assume most of you didn't watch Gothic soap operas.
My mother-in-law loved that show. Like the old one from like was it 70s, 80s? Is that when that was? When was that on?
Yeah.
60s? I don't even know when that was on.
The original one was 80s, and then the remake that I watched more of was, I feel like it was early 2000s.
And then wasn't there a
Late 90s?
Tim Burton movie too?
Yes, Tim Burton did a movie. Mm-hmm.
I could have sworn, right?
It was something, all right. Yeah, okay, there we go. Getting pictures of my new favorite dress in there. Andrew, if you want to see.
I do like that.
See, it's
That's a
snazzy,
neat pattern.
right?
What'd you say that's called? Is that the flapper?
It's actually called the fringe dress, but it's got a flapper vibe to it.
It totally does. You're right. Is that a moth pendant? What is your necklace? I need to zoom in a little. Oh no, it's the pattern of the dress.
No, it's just a little tassel.
The pattern of the dress behind it with the little tassel made it look like a moth. I was like, oh, that's kind of a neat moth pendant. Where'd you get that?
I totally get that. Yeah, that would be cool. I would like a moth pendant too. Clarence and the rest of the moth cultists are jealous.
Oh yeah, the dude behind you in the picture has an alt beret on too.
That would be Solior.
Is that the
Yep,
Free
he's the one who
States?
grabbed the picture.
Is that
And I
Solior?
think that might be a Free States beret or it might be a random military one.
Nice.
Enclave. Okay, that's an Enclave beret.
Enclave.
But yeah, great feedback, Vanessa. Like I said, it was neat to hear about opinion on relative quest. Love to know where you're at. Glad you've done 76 and really given it the old college try. Even though other games distracted her on the way through the Roundtable, she stuck with it. And that's great. You know, when someone who tried 76 originally and was like, yeah, not for me, or either too complicated, too weird, too many other people, we all get that. We definitely get that. But once you get into it, you can really see the bones of a regular Fallout game in there too.
Absolutely. Excited to see if she continues to dabble in it without the motivation of the Roundtable to keep her in there.
We'll see what we distract her with next, but I bet she will for a bit.
I hope she sticks around, whatever we do.
Hey, speaking of, she also just tried some mead for the first time. Y'all out there,
God.
playing Skyrim.
She's going to go to Skyrim. We'll never see her again. She tasted mead. She's gone.
Well, no, she grabbed some because she's played Skyrim, of course, like most of us have, and hadn't had mead. So yeah, I'm a big fan.
I've never tried it. It's honey beer, honey wine. What is it?
Yeah, it's honey alcohol. It's kind of a wine, but not really. I don't know how mead is made. But I've had locally made mead, so.
I think it's just yeast and honey.
Ray would hate it. It sounds super sweet, so Ray would hate it.
Yeah.
There's other fruits in there. Okay, if you want super sweet, you don't want super sweet honey, but if you did like there's Krupnik, there's some Polish honey beverages that are insanely sweet. Mead is moderately sweet. It can be a little bit tart and sweet both, and it can have a bit of a bite depending on the kind of mead you get. So like I've had some from some local meaderies, this blueberry mead that I really like. And if you want to get mead at the liquor store, I recommend Chaucer's mead. It's a pretty standard, but it comes with mulling spices. It's a good one.
Whoa. Crazy.
Yeah.
Every year, the tech ops group for Dragon Con gets together for a party, a couple of weeks before the event. And there are several people in the group that make mead.
Brew their own mead and bring it along.
And bring it, so.
That is such an SCA or a cosplayer thing to do.
Is brewing specifically for beer, or are all alcohols brewed?
I think beer and cider qualify as brewed. I don't think the others are. They're usually distilled, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. But we should get into Sean's feedback next. I think this is our last feedback of the season.
Well, Sean, you have honors, sir.
The Chronicles of Isaiah Pollux, Part 9. I remember a song from my youth that my father used to sing in the car going on family vacations. The last few months have brought the words into focus as I try to make heads or tails of what my future holds here in West Virginia. Sometimes the light's all shining on me. Other times I can barely see. Lately, it occurs to me what a long, strange trip it's been. After all of my adventures, my debacle with the Brotherhood, my on-again, off-again fascination with Duchess, my shotgun shack in the Cranberry Bog, and finally putting an end to the madman known as Hugo Stoltz, it has indeed been a long, strange trip. There are many loose ends still dangling around here in Appalachia, but I don't think my place is here. Frankly, I'm not sure where my place is anymore. I still feel the desire to eradicate the evil that still permeates this part of the country, the Blood Eagles, the wacko Mothman cultists, and the mutated abominations that roam the countryside. But I can't help but wonder what lies beyond this place. I want to go out there to see how bad things really are, and what, if anything, this weary wastelander can do to make a difference. But shit, what kind of difference can one man even make? My trip to Pittsburgh showed me that there are places that are far worse. Atlantic City seemed to be better, but the seething underbelly reveals that as a ruse to lure in folks tired of fighting. Why am I so itchy? Anyway, so here I stand. I'm not sure where to go. For the first time since leaving the vault, I have no end game in sight. I am fairly certain Vault-Tec is dead and gone. I could go to D.C. and possibly confirm that, but all accounts tell me that the place is more of a wasteland than here. Head home to California? Maybe, but then again, it can't be much better. The war ended only 25 years ago, and history shows that the West Coast was hit hardest of all. And I would head north, but winter will be here soon, and this looks like a rash. Maybe I should go see Audrey before heading too far away.
Uh-oh.
The logical thing to do is to let things unfold and see what happens. I'll head to the Wayward first. Go see Duchess. Then home. I guess maybe to the Bog House. It has indeed been a long, strange trip. Isaiah Pollux. Upon returning to Vault 63, it was time to confront Hugo. We exchanged words, and he kept insisting that none of what he did was wrong, and that what happened with the loss was merely a means to an end, an incomplete transition. I confronted him at every turn, and still he maintained that his experiments, the weather machine, everything, was in the best interests of the inhabitants of the area, whether feral, lost, or otherwise, and that in the process he could regain his wife, and he only needed a small bit of help from me to finish the process. He feels Audrey and Hilda are close, and just one final push will set everything right. At what cost, Hugo? At what cost? At some point in the conversation, it occurred to me that there was no way to alter his course or change his mind, and aside from just gunning him down right there, I wasn't going to get anywhere, so I sought out Audrey and Hilda, hoping maybe they had a way to reason with him. I found them in the clinic with Oberlin, and the conversation there was quite animated. They were discussing how to proceed, and when I came in, they asked me for my input. Hilda had a tissue sample acquired from Hugo, and the three of them agreed that one final experiment to determine why Hugo was affected differently than the rest of the Lost was required. Oberlin was concerned, as I was, about Hugo's fast diminishing sanity and reliability. Audrey just wanted to save lives. Admirable, I suppose, but not very likely. Since I was the surface guy and the cave guy and the go look for this thing guy while we were at it, it was settled that I would head out to the weather devices, activate them, and hopefully succeed where we had all failed so far. The first harvester was a control exercise to set a baseline. The machine was surrounded by super mutants, and they would need to be eliminated to start up the machine. Even after initializing the experiment, more mutants showed up, and fortunately I was able to protect the harvester. The results of the experiment were, of course, inconclusive. At the next station, a flock of giant wild turkeys had taken up the place as a roost. If nothing else, we would eat well for the next few months. These things were huge and quite resilient, especially the big ones. I had to defend the machine for a short time, but in the end, fending off all the turkeys was fairly non-problematic. The experiment revealed that there was no way that the Lost would ever be returned to normal, even as ghouls. Only that they would be controlled by Hugo. What the fuck? Oberlin was pissed too, and over the comms I could hear that he was done with Stoltz, and ran out to go arrest him. Audrey wanted to give this one more shot to confirm the results. My heart was telling me that I should go back to the vault and provide backup for Oberlin, but there was no way I could make it back in time, so I just shook my head and complied with Audrey's request. The final station was not far, and when I got there, the place was crawling with Lost. If nothing else, these mothers can take a lot of punishment. I swapped out my rifle for my plasma flamethrower and proceeded to melt them down and secure, activate, and defend the last machine. As I had surmised, the previous result was confirmed, and this was the point at which I heard Oberlin on comms again screaming that Stoltz had left the vault. He requested I return to the atrium and we should discuss our next moves. I spoke to Oberlin upon returning. We all agreed that there was only one place Hugo would go, and that would be to the Hawksbill station to power up the weather machine. He needed to be stopped. He would be in the meteorology sector, and I would need to prevent him from powering up the machine, no matter the cost. Oberlin was insistent at this point that we needed to take him alive and arrested for his crimes. Audrey felt differently, and I didn't blame her. I also felt that this guy would have to be dealt with or risk having him attempt something like this again down the line sometime. My skin began to itch as I was thinking this truly was the only way to be sure without actually nuking the place from orbit. I agreed to meet Audrey at the station, and she would unlock the barriers I needed to access the meteorology sector and confront Hugo. Oberlin was still in my ear about taking the guy alive. Yeah, keep talking, Colonel. I'm not in your army anymore. The machine was massive, and it looked like Hugo had been busy. Cassie was with him, sitting in a corner platform above, motionless and breathing heavily. As with all megalomaniacal villains, Hugo launched into a monologue about saving his wife and shepherding the lost. I tell him, of course, that he can't get away with this, and I was there to stop him. Then, in those moments, the madness was so obvious I could see only one way to end this. Sorry, Oberlin. I chased down the crazed Hugo. Around and around we went. I unloaded magazine after magazine into him, and power and electricity pulsed through his body. At one point, I thought I had him, but he began floating in the air and calling legions of Lost into the fight. I came prepared, though, and I was able to not only take down the Lost, but also lay a few more slugs into Hugo. Again, I thought I had the advantage, and again he rose up, summoning more Lost to his defense, and again I was able to hold him off. The barrel of my rifle glowed red as I unloaded several more magazines into the Lost onslaught and into Hugo. Then, all at once, it was over. Hugo knelt on the ground before me and pleaded for me to listen one last time. Oberlin wants him alive. Stoltz thinks he can make a difference, and for me to do the right thing. But then I thought of Audrey. Hugo had murdered her lover, had destroyed the lives of so many. I was furious with him and how he had manipulated all of us and lied to us. The end came quickly for him. I took my plasma flamer out of my pack and I incinerated him. I looked over his corpse and I could hear Oberlin and comms, horrified by what I had done, but asking to recover Hugo's body in order to still learn what they could from his body. I climbed up the platform and I deactivated the machine. It was over. Epilogue. I told myself I did what I had to do. Hopefully in time the dwellers of Vault 63 will be able to heal and move forward. When I returned to the vault to gather my gear and say my goodbyes, I was happy to see that Audrey was taking the mantle of Overseer. She was hopeful for the future, and for me, I was glad to finally be able to put all of this behind me. I stepped out of the vault, and then out of the mansion and into the storm. I didn't look back, and I walked for a long while going over in my head what the last few months had revealed to me about myself. I had always been someone who dwelled on the outside, never really being considered close to anyone, and even being known as someone who was too smart for their own good. It was something I had grown accustomed to, and I embraced it. I was too smart. I didn't care much for other people, save those I could appreciate on the same intellectual level as myself. Duchess was one of those people, and now I would consider Audrey in that group as well. I strode into the dying light of the day, headed north into the forest for a cold beer at the Wayward. I have no idea what I will do now. I have no mission, no goal to achieve. Perhaps that's for the best. I'm not tied down. I can do as I please. I do know this, though. I need to see a doctor about this rash and this sore throat.
Never should have trusted a doctor who smelled like that. Is this his first time through 76? Is that correct?
He has played a lot of 76. In fact, we were talking about levels earlier and such, the various levels people had got to, and Isaiah Pollux has made it up to level 398 already.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, wait, is that his Roundtable character? Has he played a lot since just this, or is this has existed before the Roundtable?
Yeah, so Isaiah Pollux was just for the Roundtable, but he's been playing that character primarily, I believe, since was a new character, he says, and has been playing that character
level
primarily
fucking
through the Roundtable.
400. Goddamn.
He's done raids and expeditions. Yeah, he is higher in 5 months on the Roundtable than my main character is in 4,000 hours. I mean, admittedly, I have 7 characters, but still.
Did it take us 5 goddamn months to play this Roundtable?
4 to 5. Yeah, we started end of November, right?
You guys who submitted all season long deserve, I don't know, gift cards or something. It's just like, that's fucking cool. Congratulations, you guys. That's really awesome.
Yeah, we will have to do another treasure trove giveaway sometime soon. Get some games back in when we're outside the Roundtable season. We'll get a few more Fallout games playing, and we'll do the giveaway. Yeah, first episode was November 22nd to April 18th. So I try to keep the roundtables to 20 episodes or less. It's when they've gotten like a couple of Fallout 4 roundtables have been like 23, 24 episodes. That can be a bit much. So,
yeah, that's literally 6 months. That's crazy.
yeah, but you also didn't want to condense too much. Blowing through an entire quest line in 2 episodes seemed a bit too fast. So,
and really, Duchess's intellect is what he's so fond of, not her blueprint writing skills.
I mean, as what he's talking about making friends. I do think that evolution of Stratoblaster was of Isaiah was kind of interesting because he was a really bit of a pompous jerk at the beginning. And you definitely got an evolution, especially in this back half of the roundtable where he started accepting more people and talking to more people and being willing to work with them, various levels. But what are you saying about Duchess blueprints?
Well, he said the thing that he admired about Duchess was her intellect.
Ah.
I thought it was more of her blueprint drawing skills.
No, Blueprints was that game Jess was talking about earlier, Ray.
No, blueprints is what she bends over the table to draw.
Okay, yeah, there's a little blue peach happening there. I thought that's what she meant. Yeah. Oh gosh, Duchess, I tell you, when you have the Appalachia's ass off, you're like, if Captain America is America's ass, then if you have the Appalachian ass off, would it be Duchess, Sophia, Valdez? There's like one other too.
Bounce a quarter off of it.
Have you seen some of those pictures people do? It just cracks me up. They're like, oh, Pixar mom, but Pixar moms have the best butt.
Is there a Duchess ass culture out there?
There is. Yeah, no, people using the Mothman worship emote behind Duchess. I try to get a little self-conscious about it, but I've seen it for sure.
Oh, Duchess, you got a little whale tail showing. Watch out, girl.
You may, I think I mentioned back in the day, but one of the times that we were streaming with some Fallout 76 people over there, we did ask about the Duchess model, and the devs swear up and down Duchess has the exact same model as the other women in the game. Maybe. But they calculate the perfect angle, right, Ray? Like that angle plus that white belt. I mean, it's popping.
Yeah,
anyway.
I can't think of anybody else that bends over a table like that.
I mean, Sophia does kind of at her console too. Yeah, I do. So we were asking if I still have pictures. Anyway, sorry, we did a little picture series of Sophia's butt too for fun, just joking around.
You had her twerking.
Yeah, I have noticed that people, Anyway, thanks, Ray. That was a fun digression. Getting off that one, I liked Isaiah's change over time. Obviously, he's becoming a ghoul too. That is a cool little wrinkle, lots of wrinkles to add to the character. I like that. I have restrained myself all episode. You all mentioned turkeys, and I didn't push the button once during your feedback. That's called respect.
I was seriously waiting for it.
ECT.
It's like
it was so hard for me not to push it.
I didn't know what was going on. I was like, is she missing it? What happened? And then another one went by. I was like, there. It's like me. It was like you guys saying, and Lee said, it's like when I've missed it a couple times. You guys are really leaning into it.
It's funny. Yeah. It's a literal button. Like you usually have to look up sounds, but you've got your soundboard with your couple of buttons. I've got my soundboard with my buttons.
Yeah.
Turkey.
That's a good one. Love that turkey.
Gotta love the turkey.
All right. Again, thank you guys all season long who submitted feedback. What's one of the main components of our project here, and we really couldn't do it without you guys. So again, another heartfelt thanks to everyone out there who's been sending us in feedback this season and all the previous seasons. It's always a pleasure to hear about everyone's adventures in the game.
100%. And getting a new person joining pretty regularly, like most seasons, someone new jumps in, and it's always great to hear your take on things. Yeah. Love it. Never like, even if you don't know if you can stick with a roundtable, hey, start a character with us. Or come in halfway through. We enjoy having the feedback. It's a big part of our show, getting the community in there and involved. It really adds flavor to the show. Whether you want to do just the facts, whether you want to do breakdown of your stats and statistics and how you actually tackle things on the numbers, or whether you do the role play thing, they all have their place, and we love it.
Yeah, and I mean, you make a good point. It also kind of, brings a little bit of a creative aspect to an activity that normally is viewed as sort of a passive activity. You know what I mean? So The roundtable really lets you, hone your storytelling skills, etc. You know, so, and I can tell, and you're talking about the progression of characters, but I can tell just the progression of like storytelling. Like Lee has really blossomed as. Have you listened to his earlier feedback and where has just become some like epic storytelling of this awesome long narrative? You know, that's you guys have. We should all be writers, right?
It gives us a chance to be. Yeah. Nothing inspires us like the games we love or any media we love.
Yeah, that's goddamn. I remember first playing Skyrim and being like, you can't play it at work, so you have to listen to podcasts. And I would listen to the soundtrack all the time, just like driving to work, see flowers along the side. That looks like a blue mountain flower. I wish I could get out and pick it. You know, just
totally. It's all about feed fan fiction. You know what I mean? Like we don't do fanfic, but when you're following along a quest and you're kind of fleshing it out in a way, it kind of becomes like that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and speaking of soundtracks, there was an awesome episode of Starfield Lorecast dropped this past week.
Tell us about that.
It was all about the soundtrack of Starfield.
And that is something.
What was it? Those 6 little notes?
Yeah, the 6 iconic notes. Episode 57 of the Starfield Lorecast came out, and it was another solo one, a little bit of a longer project. But I wrote it kind of like a video essay, writing a lot of it out ahead, just so that I could get my thoughts on paper, use excerpts from interviews and such. So thanks. I'm glad you listened and enjoyed it, Ray.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Talk about waxing poetic.
You let me write things down, and I do. That's why it's better to speak off the cuff. Otherwise, I get all super poetic when I start writing things out. But it was a fun episode to do.
Beautiful.
Anyway, I'm glad you listened, Ray. Thank you.
It was a fun listen.
All right, you guys. Well, I think that wraps up our roundtable for this season with all your feedback. And thanks again, everybody. And let's go ahead and check in and see what new juicy news bits we got coming up on our Iguana Bits.
Jessica, to the office, please. Jessica, to the office. Your Iguana Bits are ready. Please come pick them up. Thank you, Jessica. Okay, so sorry, I forgot to turn off the intercom. Hold on.
Do you have?
Okay, there we go. Sorry.
That's great.
So today's Iguana Bits, y'all. Get your eggs, get your eggies here. We are collecting Deathclaw eggs for Easter again. Yes, that time is upon us once again. This year, Easter is on April 20th. We are already halfway through the week leading up to it. So from the 15th to I think the 22nd, they are doing Deathclaw eggs every couple days, switching them out. And if you collect all 6, you get the one-eared bunny head we were talking about earlier. A lot of people already have it unlocked, but if you don't, this is your opportunity. Like I said, we are halfway through already. I think there are only 2 or 3 eggs left. So get on it and get that bunny head. It's pretty great.
Is that one of those items with the atom star beside it so you can build it on across all your characters? Is it one of those things?
The bunny head, I believe you can.
Okay.
I don't. I think it's an account unlock. I'm pretty sure the bunny head is an account unlock.
Okay.
But I can't guarantee it, but I am pretty sure.
I think that's good enough.
Rando in chat says I was wondering where the bunny head came from. So that is what it is. It's a challenge each year, and it's cumulative. So say you only get 4 of the Deathclaw eggs last year, you can get the 2 you missed this year and get it. Or if you get a couple this year, if you don't quite make it, if you only grab some of them, you can grab the rest next year. So eventually everybody will have the bunny mask. But it was Jerry's favorite mask back in the day. Jerry and a couple others were the only people I know. Like, it was very rare that first year or two because it was one of their first challenges we had to do every day. And the first year they did it, I think it was 1 day each. It might have been 2 days each, but it was really tight. This year they're doing better. It's more like 2 or 3 days for each egg.
You'd wear that bunny mask with the clown suit.
Yep, my favorite clown buddy. He has it in real life too. If you didn't know, he actually has a one-eared bunny mask in real life.
That's awesome.
We all got to cosplay our character somehow, right? So next up on the news, Andrew, we have an update for 76, speaking of, on the 22nd. That's this coming Tuesday. So servers will be down for server maintenance. There is an update. Now, they haven't said what is in this update, and we know they're testing phishing and such on the PTS. I do not think this is the phishing update. In fact, I'm pretty sure it isn't. That is still in the future. This is going to be more bug fixes and server maintenance, working on some of the crash issues, the power armor issues, some of the perk issues, and double reinforcing some of what they already did on the last quick update. That's pretty much all this one's going to be. Assuming, and okay, conspiracy just too. So y'all heard in the breaking news last week, and obviously through the grapevine, that the rumor is strong that Oblivion is finally coming out tomorrow. I mean, on the 21st.
Tomorrow.
It's always tomorrow. It's always tomorrow.
21st, it'll be tomorrow.
Right, exactly. Yeah, on the 21st, they'll tell us it's coming out tomorrow again.
Because nobody ever in the history of the world has ever launched a game on a Monday.
I mean, it's very rare. It's not very common for sure. So we'll see. The only reason we now think it's the 21st is because of that Xbox support comment where, like I said, some tricky little weasels, some sly devils, some little gray foxes slipped in there, and they asked Xbox support AI, hey, will the Oblivion remaster be available on cloud streaming? When might I be able to play it on cloud streaming? And it comes back saying, oh, it'll be out on the 21st, which means it should be available for cloud streaming at that time. Because the AI has access to info that the people will not share. The people are hiding it.
The AI is trolling us.
God, AI trolls too? That's the next level. Could totally happen. Anyway, if you have messaged Xbox support after that first day, they did fix it, which is yet another clue that maybe it was real, or maybe it was bad
Or
info.
that it was a troll and they didn't like having a troll in there.
It's true. And we only think it's AI. Maybe it was an actual person responding and trolling. Who knows? But the conspiracy part of me says if this is out the 21st, 22nd, there's going to be a lot of good news coming up. And so whenever there's a big good news happening, great things happening, it's also a great time for people to announce things that may not be as good to kind of hide it in the cover of the big things. So I'm just going to say, if they've got some things on maintenance that might be a little bit tougher that are coming with this update, whether there's some stuff coming up they need to fix that could be an issue or problematic, whether there might be like people who have been doing things they shouldn't and are going to get banned, like that could happen around this update. So don't be surprised if you see a little bad news mixed in with the good. It just that's the way these things often work. And we're on to you. We know how you do these things, but we will see. Oh, here's a fun thing. Tomorrow is the 250th anniversary of the Battle of Lexington and Concord. So yay, Preston.
Hey, all right.
Yeah.
Minutemen, go.
Viva la Minutemen. I just thought a bit of real history in there. That was on, I believe, what is April 19th in 1775, right? So it's been 250 years.
Holy cow.
The revolution is starting. Yeah, expect some 250 years of the US kind of stuff happening as this year goes on and next year starts. So some of that, but yeah, it made me think about our Minutemen and old Preston Garvey. Also, I did get a look at some of the fishing trophies on the PTS. So one of the fun aspects of the new fishing system is, of course, like any good fisherman, you gotta tell your tall tales about the fish you caught. But it always works better if you can have it mounted and on your wall, because like we were saying, Bethesda loves mounting things in all their games. You get the mounted creatures, and in this one, we are getting all these fish, but also the axolotls. They're adding axolotls to the game, like in the TV show. Well, that was obviously a gulper, but it was the gulper that looked like an axolotl. And so as an homage to that, they're bringing in axolotls into 76, where you can catch special ones in each region. And I saw some of the mounted ones. They look great. It's actually going to be fun mounted trophies. Like when the mounted heads first came out, they actually had some value. Like now you get them free with every mole miner pail, a Christmas present or whatever. Like they're nonstop. Mole miner pails are like boxes of Wheaties. You open up, there's a prize inside. Woo, you get another mounted head. Yay. But back in the day, they were actually kind of exciting, and they showed you actually had accomplished something. And with fishing, that's going to be a thing again, I think. At least probably the first 5-6 months as people learn the fishing system and actually catch the cool fish, the special fish. So they look cool. Excited about that. Oh, yeah. Rando says we need a Billy Bass style singing camp fish. You need a Billy Bass fish. Wait, did we have one for a little bit? We did, didn't we, in 76? Have a Bass-O-Matic?
What?
Singing bass? Am I making this up? I remember one.
Bass-O-Matic is the blender.
Right, Bass-O-Matic is the blender. But we had a singing Billy Bass in 76, didn't we? God, I've been playing this game too long. Am I making this up? I feel like there was. Okay, You let me know.
zero
Have I totally
recollection of
lost
that.
my mind? Someone's asking if it was a nuclear winter. I don't know. I mean, we've got the fish mailbox. We've got mounted fish. We've got fish that you can cook. All kinds of fish. Yeah, I don't know why I thought there was a singing fish. Okay, ignore me. Anyway, that's it for the bits.
Good bits. All right.
Fish bits.
Favorite Easter connections to Fallout? Are there any?
Wow. Easter connections to Fallout. Well, I mean, there's the time that we did we recreated the Last Supper in Fallout. That's a little bit Easter.
Right. And the bunny mask, of course.
Yeah, we've got the bunny mask. Yeah, I'm trying to think in earlier games. Is there a reference? I mean, there are lots of Easter eggs, technically, right? But they're not literal ones.
Well,
I think.
How about your favorite Fallout Easter egg then?
Well, I think Fallout 2 might have actually had a literal Easter egg in it. We haven't played it, but if you go to lists of Easter eggs in Fallout, you might see they actually had a brightly colored egg that you could find, like a literal Easter egg in the game.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Fallout 2 was really, in some ways, the goofiest of all of them. People blame 76, but
Yeah.
2 had a lot of fun stuff.
I remember at one point reading a list like that and seeing some code that Lucy's dad had to enter at the very end of season 1 into the Vault Tech, the code pad, so they could take over the energy thing. God, I'm just terrible description. But evidently that the code he entered in the pad was like 11/11/98 or something, which was like the release date of the original Fallout game or something like that. You know what I mean? So I think little Easter eggs like that are totally fun.
I love all those Easter eggs. I mean, they do them with quest titles a lot, right? Like a ton of quest titles. They're either about songs they use in Fallout or they use little Easter egg references on them. Trying to think. The whole Big Boy, the whole Big Boy restaurants there you get with the Big Boy fast food chain. I mean, there are tons. We mentioned just the other day the Blade Runner pistol with that gun. That's a classic one.
Right. Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, but if you go to a list of Easter eggs, like if we were to pull up a list of Easter eggs, there would be hundreds.
I'm sure there's a billion of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, Skyrim in Fallout and Fallout in Skyrim, Easter eggs, vice versa. Other pop culture movies and references and yada, yada, yada. I'm sure there's a billion of them. All right. Also, Easter falls on 420 this year. 420 references in Fallout.
I don't know of any, and yet some would say Nerd Root throughout the games and even in Fallout.
Nerd Root? Really?
Reference.
No.
That's hilarious. I'm just saying, don't even try the Crimson until you've tried the original green. Don't even think about trying Crimson until you've had the original green. That's all.
You'll skunk yourself out. Don't do it. Dude.
You will. Yeah.
I just Googled it, and evidently Vault 42 is sometimes friendly referred to as Vault 420 because there's evidently lots of overgrown greenery and stuff in 42. What game is 42?
You mean Vault 22? You mean Vault 22 in New Vegas?
No, they're saying 42. I don't know.
I don't know 42 off the top of my head. I'm not sure that 42 is in a
game. The Lady
game.
Bird Johnson Wildflower Center. What the fuck? What is that? Is that in the original? No, it can't be in the original game.
Yeah, no, I think it's in the Fallout Bible. I think Vault 42 is one of the ones that's in the Bible only.
Oh, okay.
So there are some, we talked about that. I've said before, if you get a chance, grab the PDF of the Fallout Bible. There were a couple versions, so really fun read. Completely non-canon at this point, but it was Chris Avallone and a number of people back and forth with questions and just kind of fleshing things out. And there are a lot of vaults that we never see that are mentioned in that. Not all of them, though.
42 is one of them.
Oh, cool.
It's only in the Bible. And the vault experiment was no light bulbs of more than 40 watts were provided.
So, unlike Vault 76, they did not have the best and the brightest.
The dullest, even.
My other favorite button.
Brilliant. Right on.
Oh, that's a good one. But yeah, no, I can't think of many 420 references per se. I mean, I got to tell you, the number of camps that I've been to over the years that are actually dispensaries, they're my camp it's not a general store; it's a dispensary, and they've got like some of the stinky weed from
oh god
from underneath Arctos in there, and then they've got a bunch of greenery and pots and grow lights and such.
Every third person on 76 is named like 420 daddy of some kind. You know what I mean?
Well, keep in mind we play on Xbox, PC, and I don't know about PlayStation. They may not be quite as much. Xbox is known for a whole lot of XX4 2069 players.
That's funny. I wonder why that is. That's for Xbox in particular. Interesting.
I mean, it probably is. It's gamers in general. Let's be fair. Gamers in general. But it is such a thing since the early days of Xbox Live. And they're sitting there playing Halo 2, you know. And we have all been in party chats, group chats with a whole lot of bubbling going on.
Oh, absolutely. All right. I guess that's all I have this evening. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to bring up?
Hey, do you have anything?
Nothing I can think of.
Yeah, let's call it a night then. I guess the only thing I didn't mention is that I did mention that there is a glowing camp, ghoul camp contest. So that's closing on the 22nd too when we get the update. So if you were thinking about entering one, make sure you get it in by the 22nd on the Bethesda Discord.
I couldn't find that asteroid that produces radiation. I was looking for that the other day. Where is that in floor decoration and miscellaneous structure? Like, I couldn't find that goddamn thing.
I think the asteroid is right near the bottom of floor decor.
I hate, because I feel like
800 items.
I feel like I'm looking for
items.
something, and then there's too many things in the list, so my brain sort of like goes into autopilot mode. It's like, and I'm sort of like zoning out, and by the time you get it, you're like, oh shit, did I pass it by? So you spend more time, and then I try to Google it, and it's like, I just wish there was a diagram that just broke down where everything is. Come on.
You know, they really are planning on reorganizing the build menu.
That's just going to make it even more of a mess at this point.
This is something I had heard. This is something I had heard in the past, and I wouldn't say anything except that it was mentioned publicly. Gosh, like a month or two ago, they did come out and say, yeah, we're looking at redoing the build menu.
Might have legs.
It's something that they started working on at least last summer, fall, at least. It's been in the works for a while, but I mean, they keep adding to the list. It's a big one. I will tell you right now, one of the biggest things that gets in the way of my building these days is the fact that I have bought everything almost that comes out for related to camps in the Atom Shop. And now the list is too long and you can't find things. And it gets frustrating sometimes when you're looking for what you want to place.
Absolutely.
It's hard.
Bookmark your favorites or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I know people want it to be organized. I know they want it to be reorganized. I know that it's kind of a Herculean task and not the number one priority, but it is something they're working on. And hopefully this summer. That has been the goal for a while. So yeah, Stratoblaster says, build menu was the bane of my existence. By the way, Stratoblaster got a camp in top 5 camps again this week. He's on a roll.
Wow, dude. Congrats.
Yeah, such a builder. Awesome. But yeah, so fingers crossed that actually happens. Maybe around the fishing update. Who knows?
There's no better time than now. And spring cleaning, right? Come on.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Exactly.
So they're going to announce Fallout 4 on Switch 2 as well. Is that right?
You know, Switch 2 coming out. Maybe we're going to get it. It's Fallout 3 on Switch. Oh, I didn't even mention, but I mean, y'all know. I don't want to tease anything, but there has been more of the leakers talking about the Oblivion remakester have came out and said, Nathan Haight specifically, that he does know they are still working on the Fallout 3 remake as well. But I think that's probably contingent on how Oblivion does. And let's not put the cart before the horse in Skyrim or whatever. But there are people saying it really is a thing. And if it is a thing, maybe it'll come to Switch. So you might finally... Oh, wait, you want Fallout 4 on Switch. Yeah, it's not happening.
I wouldn't mind like a Fallout 3 total like remake, revamp on the Fallout 4 engine.
Right.
You know, I'd appreciate that.
If it happens, it would probably be on Unreal again, even more advanced. So we will see what happens. We will see. That's one thing at a time. But yeah, that came up again at a specific Switch Ask Me Anything situation with a couple of insiders.
Boom. Awesome. All right, you guys. I will, since you guys said there's nothing else, I will take this opportunity to thank everyone for listening to this episode. You can find Jess over there on Twitter, Blue Sky, at SleepIs4T. She also frequents our Discord, so hop on over there. Jess, thanks so much for hopping on tonight.
Thank you. It's been a fun one.
Ray is at RayLB, also at BBCISSS. For all your No Man's Sky needs. Ray, thanks so much for hopping on, sir.
Good times.
I can be found at Indie Android. The show is at the Fallout Feed. I'd like to thank everyone for downloading this edition of the Fallout Feed, and we will see you in the Wasteland.
Thank you for downloading this episode of the Fallout Feed Roundtable. If you are interested in doing a play-along character with us, the show can be contacted by emailing falloutroundtable@gmail.com. For the Roundtable schedule, our Amazon link, and all other show information, please head on over to asapodcasting.com, where you will find the Fallout Feed, a Skyrimatic podcast, our YouTube channel, the Chatterbox, as well as other content. Once again, thank you for downloading, and we'll see you in the Wasteland.
It's almost as bad as letting a voice over an intercom persuade you to head through violent lightning storms